Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Remember to speak into the microphone, as this meeting is being recorded for public record. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everybody. We apologize for the delay. We had some technical difficulties. I want to welcome everybody to the January 8th Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. I hope everyone had a great holiday, and I want to wish everyone a happy, healthy, and prosperous new year and a great 2025. Let's go ahead and we have a short agenda. We have one item. Let's start with taking attendance. Mr. Madden, can you do that, please?
Absolutely. I'll do a roll call. Mr. Goldberg?
Here.
Mr. Ascion?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Krennic?
Yep.
Mr. Nagler?
Present.
Ms. Silverman?
Here.
Mr. Silvers is absent.
Okay, so
We do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum, so we're good to go. So for the new board members, first thing we do in a January meeting is we appoint a chair and a vice chair. With that being said, that's next on the agenda, so I'll entertain any motions for a nomination for chair. Don't be shy.
Nominate Mr. Michael Goldberg
Okay, I appreciate
for
that.
chair.
We have a nomination.
I second it.
Of myself, by Mr. Krennic, second by Ms. Silverman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, team. Appreciate the support. I'm looking forward to the next year. This is my last year, then I'm termed out, and I've really enjoyed the last 6 years on this board. So thank you for the vote of confidence. I appreciate it. With that being said, the next item is to appoint a vice chair, or as I would call it, my wingman, in case I'm not here, which very rarely happens. Mr. Ascion has done a great job doing that.
I've enjoyed it.
So any nominations for a vice chair?
Nominate Mr. Ascion.
No, he's termed out.
He's termed out.
He's termed out. Am I allowed to? The chair can't nominate. Right. Okay.
Pass the gavel?
Yes.
If you want to pass the gavel.
To the
I'll pass the gavel to Mr. Ascion for a minute, and I'd like to nominate Steve Davis as a vice chair. We got to get a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a second by Mr. Krennic. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations. A little blindside? Come on. You know, listen, you got 2 or 3 meetings under your belt. It's not that hard. Trust me, you can do it. So we appreciate that. Okay, moving on, Mr. City Attorney, do we have any updates? And if you want to go ahead and swear in the public that's here, and when we have someone on Zoom, we'll go ahead and have you swear them in if there's anybody on Zoom when we have public comment or anybody presenting on Zoom.
Perfect, thank you. No updates, so with that, good morning all. Today's meeting of the Board of Adjustment has been scheduled in a hybrid format with a quorum of the board physically present in the commission chambers located at 1700 Convention Center Drive, and applicant staff and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via the Zoom platform. In order to participate in today's meeting, those wishing to participate via Zoom may dial 888-853-5257, which is a toll-free number, and enter the webinar ID, which is 828-6961-5309, or log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 828-6961-5309. Any individual wishing to speak on an item must click the raise hand icon if they are using the Zoom app, or dial *9 if they are participating by phone. Before I swear in those that are testifying today, I'm going to read into the record and remind all of the city's notice regarding lobbyist registration. If you are appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, you need to register as a lobbyist with the city clerk's office. If you haven't registered yet, you should register before you speak to the board. You do not have to register as a lobbyist if you are speaking only on behalf of yourself and not any other party, or if you are testifying as an expert witness providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information or testimony in this public meeting, or if you are appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without any compensation or reimbursement for your appearance to express either support or opposition of any item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood association shall, prior to appearing, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. If you are an architect, attorney, or employee representing an applicant or objector, you must register as a lobbyist. These rules apply whether you are appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. For those that are testifying today, if you could please stand and raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And Mr. Chair, as you indicated, I'll be swearing those virtually as they appear on the screen. So with that, turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. City Attorney. Do we have any discussion items, Mr. Madden?
We have no discussion items.
Okay, in your package that was sent out, you had the minutes from our last meeting. Was that November 1st? We didn't have a meeting in December,
November
right?
1st.
November 1st. Hopefully you had an opportunity to review those minutes. Just want to make sure if, and entertain if there's any corrections or changes. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Move to approve.
Okay, moved by Mr. Davis, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Krennic. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Do we have any requests for continuance or withdrawals? I believe we actually do, Mr. Baden. So we're going to have a request for a continuance on ZBA 220143, 153 Collins Avenue. Could you go ahead and tee that one up, please, Mr. Madden?
Yes, the applicants have requested a continuance to the March 7th, 2025 meeting. They've requested, well, they're here if they wish to describe.
Do you want to go ahead and address the board?
Sure, I didn't mean to interrupt, I was just gonna.
No, and actually, we should have, yeah. You want to have him address?
If they'd like, they can address if they have any issues, but they've requested a continuance to see if they can work out some issues on their own, and staff is okay with that move to continue to the March 7th meeting.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, congratulations to you both. Jeff Bass is my name. I'm here on behalf of one of the parties, joined by Tracy Slavens. Tracy and I have known each other for a long time. We've been working very hard to solve what I'll say is a very complicated issue. Localized but complicated, and there are complicated solution paths that just take some time. In speaking to Tracy, we had previously asked for the March date, but we would ask April because of some travel that was scheduled on that March date. So we hope to take this off your agenda by resolving it. We just need a little more time to try to do so.
Okay, do we need to do a motion to approve the continuance?
Yes.
Okay, so with that being said, thank you very much for being here and making that presentation. I entertain a motion to go ahead and continue this item to the April meeting.
It's April 7th. We did get word yesterday one of the committees is considering taking the date that we had scheduled, so we may have to move the April meeting. We're confirming the date, so I'll reach out to the board members once that's confirmed, but as of right now, it's the April 7th meeting.
Okay, perfect. I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the.
Motion by Mr. Davis. Second, please.
Second.
Second by Mr. Yassian. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Thank you again for coming. Have a great day. Moving on, we have one application, which is going to be ZBA 24-0169, 41 Lagore Circle. Mr. Madden, tee that up for us, please.
This application has been filed requesting a variance for the minimum required front yard setbacks in order to construct a paddle court for a previously approved single-family home.
Okay, so for way of background, this project was approved on May 3rd, 2022 by the Design Review Board. It went to the Design Review Board because it contained a pre-1942 single-family home. There has since been a state preemption, so those homes are no longer subject to DRB review. They are now requesting a variance, so the variance is under the jurisdiction of the Board of Adjustment because of that state preemption. The applicant is requesting variances of the front yard setbacks in order to construct a paddleball court. The lot is an irregularly shaped lot, sort of a triangular shaped lot. It contains an irregular, what are the front yards are essentially in practicality the side yard of the home, and so the applicant is requesting a variance to move those front yard setbacks so that they can construct a paddleball court. The required front yard setback is a two-story home or 30 feet. They're requesting that that setback be reduced to 10 feet, 7.5 inches, so that the court can fit in. Staff is not opposed to the variance, given that the lot is irregularly shaped. This is functionally their side yard. It's really not the front yard of the home. And so staff is not opposed. Staff has received several letters of support from various neighbors for the request of the variance. So staff does believe that this is a practical difficulty, and staff recommends that the application be approved, subject to the conditions in the attached draft order.
Thank you. Before we start, do we have any disclosures on the dais? No. Okay. We'll go ahead and turn, Mr. Larkin, you're going to be presenting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 10 minutes good? And
Yes.
Need more, let me know.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
It's all
Thank you
yours.
so much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board member, staff. Michael Larkin, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here representing the applicant. Can we pull up the presentation, please? Okay. I am joined here today by the applicant, Ryan Shinman, Kobe Karp and Taylor Shimade from Karp Architects, and my colleague. Next slide, please. So as you can see, there is, it's on the western end of Lagos Island. It epitomizes the irregularly shaped lot that you read about in all the variance case law. Next slide. The zoning is simple. It's single-family zoning with comp plan, land use designation of the same. Next slide. This is what Rogelio was talking about with regard to the earlier DRB approval. Notice that 70% of the whole linear frontage of the property is considered the front yard. That's important for what I'll describe a little bit later. Next slide. As you'll see, the location of the paddle court is roughly at the intersection of Lagorce Circle and Brevity Lane. Next slide. This is more of a close-up of the paddle court. Next slide. This is the view from Lagorce Circle. Next slide. This from inside the property on the northern end. Next slide. This is from inside the property looking north. As you can tell, there's a copious amount of landscaping surrounding the paddle court, so no matter what street you're walking on, you won't be able to perceive it. Next slide. This is the view from Lagorce Circle and Brevity Lane looking toward the paddle court. Of course, it's obscured from view. Next slide. This is the variance that Rogelio was describing to you all in the RS2 district. It's a 30-foot setback for the front setback for two-story structures, which we have. Next slide. And as briefly mentioned before, as you can see with the red line, which makes this so unusual, that almost all of the frontage or every lineal foot of the property adjacent to a right-of-way is about considered the front yard, and the front yard is the most restrictive setback you can have for a property. Next slide. So this is what I was going to say, the quintessential case for the classic hardship, where you have a irregularly shaped property, does not fit within current zoning regulations, and thus creates a hardship. Next slide. So we're requesting the variance from the 30-foot setback to allow for the construction of the paddle court, as Rogelio described, 10 feet from the property line. Next slide. And I know you all value neighbor outreach, and Ryan is one of the more energetic clients, and he's gone out and got a tremendous amount of support from his neighbors. This is just a list. I know these folks, but Ryan beat me to them, and he got letters of support from all of them. Next slide. You can see this aerial where, importantly, with regard to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 6, they're immediately adjacent. But Ryan, of course, has good relationship with all his neighbors, including the president of this HOA, and they have written letters of support for this application. Next slide. And that's it. So we're here for your questions.
Okay, before I hand it over to the board, I'm going to open up public comment. Do we have anyone here in the chamber or on Zoom for questions?
There's nobody on Zoom with their hands raised.
Okay, with that being said, I'll go ahead and close public comment and open it up for questions from the board through the chair.
If it was
Janet?
a side yard, what would the setback be?
Side yards, interior side yards are generally a minimum of 10 feet. It depends upon the width of the property. The largest properties, it's a percentage, but most properties don't even get to that level. It's usually going to be 10 feet.
So if this was not a frontage and it was considered the side of the property, you're saying this would
yeah.
not need a variance
Correct.
at all? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? No? Mr. Davis?
Were there any, from what I saw, the Padel Court, from one of the pictures, there's not any lights are going to be present?
There are lights, and you bring up a good point. As a part of when this had a DRB approval, it had a tennis court associated with it. And of course, what you're thinking is it could be a nuisance to the neighbors if they're kept on until midnight, 1 a.m. So what was agreed upon then was that the lights would shut off at 10:30 p.m. for the tennis court, and for 7:30 a.m., it couldn't be lit before 7:30 a.m. So we're happy to agree to that same condition for the paddle court.
Okay, anyone? Mr. Nagler, Mr. Essian? Mr. Nagler, go ahead.
Yeah, there was a slide, thanks for the outreach.
Yeah, always important.
There was a slide that showed a red line, and that was to indicate the frontage. How is frontage determined? What makes that frontage as opposed to side yard? What's the definition?
Because the definition, generally, it's the narrower street frontage, or as determined by the planning director. In this case, because it's an irregular lot, it's a determination that because both frontages are roughly equal, that both would essentially be front yards.
Okay, so my understanding is that was this a tear down and there was a new property?
Correct.
Is there anything about the way that the new property was designed and built and placed on the property that did or did not or could have contributed to whether or not this piece of, this area was frontage versus side yard?
I believe the home that was built followed essentially the same frontage as the previous home that was there. Both frontages are equal. I think in both situations, we would have counted both sides as a front yard setback. I don't see any situation where we
If
would
I
have
can
counted
interject,
both.
this was 2 houses that were purchased and knocked down, right? So I guess the question would be how those houses were configured, and they were purchased at the same time, knocked down at the same time, because it's a whole nother ballgame. I went and visited the site yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's very different than having a house, separate owners, and someone buying both and knocking it down. That would affect what they can build.
Yeah, this was, this looks like the tip of a rocket. It was platted like this. And the owner took no actions to affect the configuration of the property. And what Rogelio said is true, is usually the narrowest portion of a street, the narrowest portion of a property adjacent to a right-of-way is the frontage. And I've been involved in situations where I have double frontage, which is not welcome, when you have a property go from one street to the other. But this is even more unusual in that 70% of every foot adjacent to the right-of-way is considered frontage. So it's the classic case of a hardship.
So, and the question isn't just, I guess for the record, there's nothing the owner did in the designing and the placement of the new property, the new house, that caused or contributed to the need for a variance in this situation.
I guess the aggregation of 2 lots potentially could have affected it. If it was half of that lot, you would potentially have a narrower frontage on one side, and it would be longer on the other. So we would be able to determine that one side is the front yard and the other side is the side facing a street yard. But because both are roughly equal, both are determined to be front yard setbacks.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll make a comment. I always like to be the last one. I did drive the site, and for those of you that don't, I mean, it's up to you. I go to every site, because pictures are one thing. When you get plans, you look at pictures, but when you actually drive the site and go on the Gorse Island and you drive around, it's an amazing property. The investment that the owner's putting in there is significant. And what I always look at, and you had it actually, and for some reason it wasn't included in our packages, but it was emailed out yesterday. You got letters of support from just about every single house that surrounds the property. I saw the north side where the paddleball court is going, and it's not a concern. I saw there were some trees planted, but they were kind of smaller. But I guess within a year they'll grow up and they'll get larger and
they'll be added
and cover
to.
that up. You know, I saw the tennis court had already been done, which was approved through design review, which may have needed a variance or not, I'm not sure. It doesn't matter, you did what you were allowed to do. But it's a beautiful property, and a big investment, and, I don't see any issue in supporting this.
Great, thank you, sir.
Any other comments?
No, it's,
Previous action?
it's gonna be, the house next door, is it also owned by the house that's being built next door in the lot next door, 31 Lagos? Is that the same
Yeah,
ownership?
that abuts the tennis, that's a good question.
That
That abuts the
abuts-
tennis court. That abuts the tennis court. I see a house, yeah, I noticed that a house is being
I'd,
built there on the
same-
south side,
same
right?
owners?
On the south side.
No. It's a beautiful house. Both houses are gonna be beautiful on that.
Yeah,
They look great.
thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Motion to approve?
okay, we got a motion by Mr. Krennic to approve the variance as presented. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Davis. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations and good luck
Thank
to
you
the
so
owner if
much.
he's watching. Thank you for the investment in Miami Beach.
Nice design,
Appreciate it.
Kobe. Good
Real-
job.
Yes, Kobe. Kudos to you, Kobe. Kobe, great job. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Okay, so a couple more things. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 8th. That we may cancel that because there's only one item. So we're going to see if we can move that to the March. And if we go to March, and Mr. Madden can correct me, we would probably have 2 applications in an appeal, I believe.
Correct. I just received word, I apologize, it's not the April meeting that needs to be corrected, it's the July meeting and the October meeting where the chambers are gonna be reserved. So the April meeting, remains April 4th. So that's not, April 4th, so that's not changing. So the April meeting will be April 4th. We did get a request, and Jeff Bass and Tracy Slavens confirmed if the appeal that we moved to the April meeting could be moved to the May 2nd meeting. So I don't know if anybody has any concerns with that, or if we could get a motion to move that item to the May 2nd meeting.
That happened after they left because they said.
That happened after they left. I just got a text
This is
message.
live action.
Live action,
Live
yes.
action in motion. I love it. You
Yeah.
gotta love it. I don't see an issue. Anyone want a motion? Could give a motion to approve the moving that item?
Move to approve moving
Okay.
in May. Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Davis, second.
Second?
Second by Mr.
Mr.
Krennic, all in
Krennic.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Last thing is good and welfare. I'd like to take a personal privilege and recognize Mr. Asian Andres, who I consider a friend, for his service here. You've done a great job. And all your input was great. And this will be his last meeting, and I'm sure we will see him pop up on other committees or he's out and about, in the community, chamber board member, proud to say, with me. So I want to thank you for your service, and we're going to miss you up here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been great to serve. Looking forward to doing more things together.
Okay. With that, anyone else have anything else before we close? Mr. Madden?
I just wanted to clarify, for Mr. Ascion, the commission is expected to appoint members at the February meeting. If that does not happen, you are welcome to attend the February meeting.
Sounds good.
So
If it doesn't happen, I'll attend, and if it happens, then
So
We'll let you know.
does the city post so people know that that is now an open position? So if we
Yes.
don't have someone that applies for it by then, Mr. Ascion can stay on for, is it just one more in
it's
February?
60 days, so he
Okay.
can, so the February meeting you can stay
Okay,
on.
perfect. All right, so we'll keep it. And that's the only position, well, actually, that's the only one we know we're gonna have open, but I believe we have some people up for reappointment. Mr. Krennic is up for a reappointment. Okay,
That's
so
correct.
he'll reapply and then see in February. And the commission will make a decision in on the February. commission meeting.
That's what the expectation, that they'll make a
Okay.
decision in February, yes.
Perfect. Okay. All right, motion to close the meeting. All right. Do it, Ms. Silverman. You got it. Go, Janet.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, thank you for coming in. I know it was only one item, but it was a good one. It was a great property, and I appreciate everyone's support, and have a great day and stay warm. I am heading over to the chamber with you, sir. Okay.